Welcome. This is the Breaking Free Show, and my name is Marilyn Shannon. And usually I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, but many of you know that I am broadcasting from Florida. God knows I'm doing well. My mother's doing well, so I'm in a good place. I hope you are too, and staying safe. And please stay in because the more you stay in, the quicker I get to come home. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well and just doing the best that you can and taking one step in front of the other. And every day we get closer to being free. So breaking free. Remember that. So, hi, Amnon. How are you?
Okay, considering running on a generator and a backup internet service.
Oh, my goodness. I know. The Northeast was hit pretty hard yesterday
Not
with a
yesterday.
tornado.
No, it was
Today,
this morning.
this morning. Rain, tornadoes, terrible.
All around us. I mean, we lucked out.
And we had nothing, and I'm in Florida. Nothing. It skipped right over us. Right. I mean, I think it came right above us, actually. So we're safe. So, anyway, I love you all very, very much. And I'm glad to be here. And thank goodness for technology and for all that we get to do now. It looks different, doesn't it? And it's going to look different. But it's going to be over one day and very soon. And when it is, we're going to be just loving each other, hugging each other, and dancing in the street. I promise you. So, with that, I want to welcome my guest, Karen, to our show. Hey, Karen.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. And you? Are you doing all right?
Marilyn, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Karen, can you hear me?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on. I'm doing good. Thank you. Except for, like he said, the internet sort of went out.
Marilyn, hold on a second.
I can
Karen,
hear you.
Karen.
Yes, but you're in and out, but I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, you need to tilt it farther, farther. Bring your head up in the shot. Tilt it more.
Tilt it more.
No, the other way.
Oh,
Let go.
right there.
Oh, a little more. A little more. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, good. All right. Let me just say,
Okay.
during the show, anytime during the show, anybody is welcome to call in at 919-518-9773, or you can chat with us in our chat window. You can put your name, nickname, whatever you like under our video, and you can ask questions and comment there as well. And you can come in on Skype voice, maybe, right? Can they come in on Skype voice still
Yes, ma'am.
today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that would be a computers, and that's plural, then the number 2K voice. And bear with us because technology is crazy right now, but this story is going to be worth it. It's going to be fun. You haven't heard this before, I am sure. So stay with us, be patient, and you're going to get a really good story. So, Karen, Batgirl,
Yes. Hi.
Batgirl, Batgirl. Now, how are you a Batgirl?
Well, I sort of luck luckily or by chance I stepped into the role, and it was just my path at the time, and I felt like it was just meant to be for me to be there at that perfect time at the perfect place. And I was invited to be Batgirl by Adam West and Burt Ward many years ago.
So, when
Can you
Batgirl, I
hear
mean,
me?
yes, I can hear you. How many Batgirls have there been? Like on the movies, television, how many have there been?
Actually, there's been a few. Well, Yvonne Craig was actually she was the original Batgirl in the TV show back in 19. She started in 1967, even though the show started in 1966. She was the first Batgirl, and they would consider her as the Silver Age Batgirl, and she was in the Batman and Robin TV show from it was from 1966 to 68, but she only was there on 1 year, 1967. And she's been, the Batgirl that people refer to all these years. And then I stepped into the role. She did not want to travel, and I stepped into that role, inviting by them with DC Comics to travel with Adam and Burt for about 6 years. And then I left the position and returned home. My book explains all that. But then after that on TV, I mean, on the movies, was Alicia Silverstone. She was the Batgirl in one of the movies a few years back. But then there's been, cartoons on TV with a few Batgirl voiceovers.
So how did you meet them?
I was considered the Bronze Age Batgirl.
What does that mean?
Well, I met Burt Ward. The Bronze Age Batgirl, it's a timeline. There was, if you will, the gold Batgirl on this. I'm referring to the comics because I was the live incarnation of the comic book Batgirl, and there was I was a silver aged, if you will, I mean gold aged, if you will, in 1961. She was Batgirl. She was a teenager. Her name was Kathy Kane. And then in 1967, when the ratings went down for the TV show Batman and Robin, William Dozier, the producer, asked DC Comics would they come up with a Batgirl for the show to help the ratings, which it did for a while. And she was the Silver Age Batgirl, which would be Yvonne Craig. And then, and that went from the age, up to like 1970. And then I stepped in like 1978, and that went all the way to 1980. I think those years, 1986, I believe. But as the Bronze Age Batgirl, she was the next in line after that. And then after that, there's the comic strip. There's been others, but not. I mean, it's been my character all along up until the 50 years. It was actually my suit, my character until 2017. And then the new 52 Batgirl in the comics has come out just a couple of years ago after the 50th anniversary. And she may be the next one, her character, which is the same name, Barbara Gordon. That's which was a librarian. And they have stayed with that name. I'm not sure they are coming up with a new movie now, and I'm not sure if she's going to be Barbara Gordon or I would expect so, but I'm not sure yet.
So let me ask you, first of all, what does it mean to like the bronze or the gold? What does that signify?
In the comics, there's the Golden Age comics. If you're into the comics, a lot of the comics fans would understand that. Then there's the Silver Age. It's during ages, like in the ages, and then it's the Bronze Age. And after the Bronze Age, it has moved to has stayed that way, except for the movie with Alicia Silverstone. But it has stayed the Bronze Age.
So, but there's no
50 years.
There's no major significance to that. It doesn't signify anything. It's just
not really, unless you're in the comic world and you're a huge comic fan.
Okay. All right. So
it's just ages.
So take us back to how were you discovered, first of all?
Okay. What I meant by that, it's like a timeline in the comic strips is what I meant by that.
Okay.
How was I discovered? Well, I'm from here, Durham, North Carolina, actually, and I was working at the Raleigh-Durham Airport, and I met Burt Ward there. And that sort of started that path of mine. And I moved to California, and I traveled with him, and as I was his girlfriend.
Okay, so Burt Ward, hold on a minute. Burt Ward was Robin?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you were his girlfriend.
Yes. And so I moved to California to be with him because he could not live here. We wanted to be together with his nature of his business and life. So we wanted to be together. So I moved to California, and then I traveled with them, and I was with them all the time, traveling. And I started in 1977 when I met him. And then in 1978, we start first time I saw him as Robin, and I probably in January that year, and then we traveled with starting with Adam in March of '78 is when I met Adam West, and we traveled for about 3 or 4 months together. And Adam mentioned maybe since Yvonne did not want to travel at the time that I'm there anyway, and all the women and little girls always asked where Batgirl was. So he thought it'd be a great idea if I dress up in the suit, and be Batgirl. And they asked me what I thought about it. And since I was there, it sounds fun. I was really young. I was 20 years old,
How
and
old? Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I
How old
thought,
were
why
you?
not? It would be fun. I'm with them anyway. So
How
and it was
old? How old were you? I'm sorry, I didn't hear
20,
that. 20. Okay. Okay.
20
Okay.
20 years old. Hmm.
Okay. Wow. So you met him in an airport,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it,
This
and
was
it,
42 years ago.
so you meet him in an airport, and then your whole life changes.
Whole life change in a split second almost. Yes. And that's what happens in life. You never know what what's gonna happen in a minute or a second. You just never know. Things could just turn that easy if
So
you follow that path.
So were you the first? Now you were not the first to travel with them, and you were not the first Batgirl with them, right? But so what was that like for you?
I, I was not the first Batgirl because that was Yvonne, but I was the first Batgirl that traveled and the only Batgirl that traveled with them. No one traveled with them after me.
Uh-huh. So what was that like, Karen?
It was very it was very interesting. It was fun. They were grown, men. Burt was 12 years older than I was. And he was they were just superheroes, if you will, in and out of their suits. They were truly nice people, and it was fun. They made sure I was okay all the time because I was seeing fans that thought that I was Batgirl, and I was Batgirl, and I guess I am Batgirl in the comic strips, the Bronze Age. That's like the second level, if you will, in the comic strips. And matter of fact, they still, for the 50th anniversary, it wasn't Yvonne's suit. She wore purple and gold. I wore the blue and the black. And I was in the 50th anniversary of Batgirl, too. When they first came out with the comic for Yvonne, instead of them choosing the black and the blue, the black cape and the blue suit, I'm sorry, the blue cape and the black suit, they had her wear purple and gold. So when I started to travel with them, instead of wearing her suit, to respect the fact that she was the first one, and also to make us separate, they chose the comic strip Batgirl. And
Mhm.
that's what's still in play is the comic strip Batgirl.
So what were you asked to do as Batgirl? What were you asked to do as Batgirl when you were traveling?
Well, to sign autographs, talk to the people. Um, Little girls and mothers really enjoyed meeting me, because they looked at me as the superhero. And no one ever questioned me, well, you're not Yvonne Craig, or why don't you have on that purple and gold? It's because they knew of me and being in the comic strip. Back then, we didn't have all the TV programs or a lot of the things that we do now. So a lot of people read comics back then, and they still do. There's a lot of comic fans now. So no one ever questioned me. They just saw me in that color suit, and they just knew that I was. And Batman and Robin, Adam and Burt, they wore the same colors that's in the comic strip too. So it all went well together. And they looked up to me and they talked to me, and it was really surreal. It was a great experience, and I'll never regret that. And it was fun. It was something that I never would have thought would have expected. And when I look back on that time, it's just amazing that I really did because it was so long ago, and I didn't talk about it for so long until recently.
Why was that? How come you didn't talk about it?
Well, when I moved home, I decided I had to make a decision. In life, you have to make a decision, just like I had to make one to move out there. Then it comes to a point that you need to make decisions in your life. And I made a decision to move back to North Carolina to be with my family because I'm from a huge family, and they mean when you're from a huge family, especially in the South, I mean, it just they you're just so precious of that. You're very like you're it's like trying to explain it, but I was from a huge family and I miss them a lot. Now we have FaceTime or Snapchat or Facebook or all the social media things that we have now. It might not have been as that, but we didn't have even answering machines, when I was out there. So it was very um, long distant before we could talk, or very a lot of time in between, and I missed them greatly. So I decided to move home and to have a normal type life. When I moved home, I traveled with them another year or so, and then I decided I had to hang up the cape and the cowl and have a normal life because I wanted children one day, and I wanted to raise them in the South, with near my family and in the type of life that I was raised in. Even though that was nice out there, and I love the word family, I love California. I would say that's my second state. However, it's not. It was difficult, to meet people, and when you're in that business, and it ran its course. And when I moved home, I decided that in order to move forward, I'd have to not think about that time in my life, so I could separate it because it was hard to live in the shadow with that girl looking over me like she is now. Can you see her in the background?
Yeah,
Can you see Batgirl in the background, like the suit?
yeah, yeah. That's an interesting
Okay.
point you make. That's a very interesting point you're making. That when you have to leave something behind and you have to make a big change, that sometimes you just have to go cold turkey. You
Yes, and it
have
took me
to,
about it.
okay,
Yes.
interesting. So at that point, were you dating him also, and you had to break up the relationship as well?
Well, like I said, for a year or so, I traveled back and forth. I went out there and did another photo shoot just in case. I traveled and met them as Batgirl. I was in his sister's wedding. So we were keeping in touch by phone and trying to decide if that's what I really wanted to do. He was so kind, and he wanted me to make sure that's what I wanted to do, to have a break. And then once I got back and traveled back and forth, and I just realized, I just need to stay home. And it was the path I felt like I was led to go down, to go out there, and then a path that led me to come home for, reasons in your life that you should go through.
So what would you say was the path? Why that path to go out there?
Um, well, because um, There- Can you hear me? I know the internet was messed up this morning, but I didn't see
Yeah.
you just then. Well, because I felt like, well, I met him, and he asked me if I'd want to move out there to be with them, and it took me only about 3 months, and I missed him. We got along. I went out there to visit, and I decided to move out there. Why that happened? Well, because there's another dynamics to this. I feel like he was my mother's angel at the sense because I feel like she wanted me to change my life at the time. Of course, I didn't know, but being a mother now, I can understand it because I was not with the people that she probably wanted me to be around at the moment. And I feel like he came in my life and I met him and that path happened. And honestly, I would not be the person I am today if I did not do that. They taught me a lot about myself, about life. It was a huge thing for a 20-year-old to move out there and be in that environment. It was a protected environment, but yet it was huge. We were traveling all over the country, meeting all kinds of people, and it was wonderful, But it just came to a place that I needed to either stay and be happy and be satisfied, or move home and be happy and satisfied. It was hard to be on both sides of the fence. And then
Mhm.
when I came home, the same thing happened. And so I said, I have to make a decision to now stay here. And then I got a normal job as a travel agent, and then I met my kid's father, had children, and raised them as I wanted to and as I did. And now to come back around to this again, I never expected it to happen. It did, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad, and I'm happy to go out and meet the fans again and just be that part of it. Since my children have been raised, they both have their own homes. They're very self-sufficient, and so now it's my time. I feel like, and sometimes in your path, that I think this is the way it's supposed to happen. Because if I stayed, my book wouldn't read what it reads. The people wouldn't hear some of the stories or what's going to happen next. So I feel like it was the path and it was the journey that should have been.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it. I think we all many of us live, we live a life and we have all kinds of experiences in our life, and sometimes we don't give certain things enough credit. Sometimes we give certain things too much credit. You know, we don't
Right.
take we don't take the good from certain things and make it work in our favor. So what you're saying is really relevant. And I would imagine it could not have been easy at 20. How old? 20 years old to. I mean, do you even have an ego at 20 years old? You're living in Holly. Were you living in Hollywood?
Yes. Well, Bert, yes, it could have been all the parties and all the things that people hear about, but Bert was very protected. He wasn't that type of person. We would go to things that we were invited to that seemed. I mean, he also had to think about his Robin role. He would not want to be out there, and that was the highlight of them at the time. And he would not want to be out there and be seen, drinking or anything like that. And of course, he did not drink either. So those kind of places he didn't really want to go to the Hollywood parties and I was somewhat protected instead of just going out there being part of a party. He protected me in a sense where we didn't see all of that. We lived a pretty normal life actually. Uh, Other than where we lived was pretty nice, but we lived in Pacific Palisades and then Malibu right on the beach, and it was difficult to leave, but yet you just know in your heart when it's time to do something different, or it's in your heart just to move into a different direction. And you listen to your inner self, God, if you will. If you listen to that, I mean, and he may take you down another path, and you have to search that. Just like this, if I didn't, it would have just been it would have been stayed in my heart and stayed in my soul and stayed in my mind until I did it. Because I never ever thought about writing a book, in which I did. It took me 2.5 years, and I never expected I would. I never even let my family talk about it because I needed to make that break. And if I was always reminded, then I couldn't have. And I know friends for the last 20 years that didn't even know I did that until I made a post on Facebook when Adam passed away. And then it, it woke a lot of people up. And also people reached out to me that that I felt opened up that door to walk through, and I did.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. I'm sure that there's a lot of, hidden kind of ahas that come to
Yeah.
you, you know, right? So, was there something in particular that helped bring you back out? I mean, you say Facebook, but was there anything um, in your life that really helped you, like, kind of bring it back out again?
Well, I went out to visit. I was in touch with Burt's sister and daughter, and I went out to visit them for about 4 times. And I was just traveling back on the airplane one night, and I just thought about, maybe I should write this. It was called, probably, it was in January, February 2017. I just thought about it, and of course, I have a huge faith in God, and I felt like He was programming me to do this, and so I thought about it. I came home and looked at my treasure box in the top of my closet and brought out pictures and things like that, and look, and so and I prayed about it, and the next thing I know, these earth angels, if you will, contacted me. And every step and everything that happened, all the doors were open. There was never a closed door. And I even said, well, if the door is closed, then I won't do it. Then I know it's not the right thing to do. But if they keep happening, then I'll keep walking through them. And I've walked through it, and I've written the book, and I have Comic Con set up. But as you know, we've had to reschedule and cancel and things like that. And I've had a few gifts given to me, and I have them sitting around me now. But
What? Like,
um,
what kind of gifts? What kind of gifts?
oh my goodness. Well, I've got this one. I don't know if you can see it. It's the 50th anniversary, if you can see, of
Okay.
Batgirl. It's a huge book, and it was written by William Dozier. No, I'm sorry, Bob Kane, and it was written and it was published in January of 2017, and that's about the same time as I had a thought about writing my book, which is a huge parallel. But this was given to me, and I guess I need to let that girl sign it, right?
Yeah.
And which is me. See, that's my color.
Uh huh.
And then I had these comics these comic strips. See, this is the one that's in my book that I had to get DC Comics approval to use in my book. That was this was done in 1967. This right here, and this in my book. That's the beginning of Batgirl. So you see, that's my suit there.
So let me ask
And
you. I
then
want to ask you a
we
question,
have these other
Karen.
ones.
Karen, let me ask you a question. How closely
Yeah,
related are you to Batgirl? Like, your beliefs?
I totally believe in of course we know that she's fiction, but I totally believe in her. I was in the role. I had to study the role in case people ask me lots of questions about her, and they do. And will test you, ask you questions. I had to learn about her role then. When I stepped out of it, I did not. I let it go all those years. But then 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when I started, I learned a lot about her again in the last 2 years. But I believe in what she believes in. I believe in being kind. I believe in doing the right thing, trying to help people through at the news when they're hurt, or just trying to talk to them about things and to help. I believe in the silver lining, of life. There's always something good when there's something bad. You have to remember, you have to think about who you are inside, what you have to give others, and remember to take care of yourself, and because you can't take care of yourself, If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of someone else. And I believe that um, you have to be strong as a person, um, but also um, somewhat not weak, but kind, where even though you're strong and you give advice, but you also have to listen to what they're going through and try to understand what they're going through.
And these
Um,
are all, and these
I
are all,
believe in her character,
and
even
these
though
are all,
you don't have to be.
go ahead. These are all characteristics of Batgirl and you.
It, somewhat, yes. Of course, she fights crime. She's sort of like a vigilante. She does fight crimes in the show and in the comic strips. She helps, Batman and Robin to fight crimes. But internally, as a person, or I feel that's who she would be, and that's what she would be inside. Remember, her name is Barbara Gordon. She was a librarian. So as a librarian, you help people. Yes, you help them to find books, but you're there. You talk to people, and you're a kind person. But then when you put on the suit and the cowl, and you turn into this uh, somewhat like a vigilante to go out and fight villains, is for the kind. You're trying to help people to get rid of the bad.
Right.
And I think internally that's who she is too, when just speaking to people, because everybody has villains in their life and in their hearts. And to talk to them, to listen, and to try to give them advice, not that they have to use it, but just feel like a friend, that they have. And you keep that secret in your heart forever, and just feel like you're there for someone.
Right. So I just want to remind everybody, you are more than welcome to call in to the studio at 919-518-9773. You can join us in our chat. You can ask questions and comment, whatever you like there. Just put your name under the video, nickname, whatever you like. And we're monitoring the chat. And you can also contact us through Skype voice, not picture, just voice at computers, that's plural, then the number 2K voice. And you can come in and ask questions or comment, whatever you desire. So, what difference did Batman and Robin and Batgirl play during those times, as far as how people thought, what people did? Was do you feel that there was anything that they truly accomplished as a team?
I do. I feel like they showed what it was like to work as a team. I feel like it was, they relied on each other. I mean, Batman could have done anything alone because he was Batman and he could do those things. But it was nice to have, a sidekick like Robin to help with those things. If he wanted to, just anything, even advice, or just another thought behind it, or just and then Batgirl, she could go into places that Batman or Robin couldn't go into. She could go to women, and she could do those kind of secret type things that people wouldn't know. Like, she had a compact that could hurt, that could help with her trying to capture someone, and also lipstick, a poisonous lipstick. So she had different things that they had, and she had a security belt like they had, but she also had a purse that kept these type of things in that she carried. So that and the they she swung, and they could fly in their own way, and she could swing from building to building. So I think as a team, they each had their own um, things that they used that the other one didn't have, even personalities between the three of them.
So when they were doing the comic strip, did you have to kind of play a role during the comic strip? I mean, did you have to act? Did they draw you?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, they did more of the acting because I was so young, and I was shy, in a sense. But I felt when I put the cowl I was another person, and people expected me to be that, and I did try to step into it. And I think that when we were there together, the two of them would put more on a show. And I would just kind of stand, and but then it wasn't a very big place. It was very small. And I mean, not small. And there were centers. It was, no, more like car shows, not convention centers like you have now. It's more like car shows and things like that. So we had a certain area that we could be in, and it was always crowded. But I would stand there and watch them, and of course, Adam would try to engage me, and I would engage with them. But mainly, we sat at the table, the three of us, and signed autographs. And people really, they didn't see the people behind the mask, or they saw the superhero. And they want to believe that we were superheroes, that we had to act the part in a sense, because people want to believe in that, in something outside of, just to have something to believe in. And they do. People love superheroes. I mean, it's huge now. It's huge. And we were there before superheroes are, I mean, like they are now, the Comic Con and all the dress up. And we were there, and after I left, they continued. And I believe the first Comic Con started the late '80s, like '88, something like that. And they were part of that. But I left before that happened. And once Comic Con came in, it became a lot more bigger than it was.
So what is the allure with a superhero?
I believe that people just want to believe in something, and I think they love just the excitement of it. That wow, just look at what they do, and look at what they can do, and and they like the secret identity. They like that you can be a normal person, and then you put on your cape and cowl and or mask, and you can be someone um, secret, or someone that you don't have to really show who you are inside. Maybe you're kind of hid behind that, or you can become more assertive, or more out. Just you can fight villains, and then still be who you are on the other side of it.
So is there any part of that costume that you can wear today? Like, can you show us any part of it? Can you put the hat on or anything?
Well, I can wear all of it. What happened is the suit itself has been preserved,
Okay.
because I look at it as a 40-year treasure. And also, I was 100 pounds. I'm not that now. So I had a dear friend. Her name is Judy Knox. She created it for me again with DC Comics approval. I had to ask them, and they approved it. And she created it, and it looks just like the first one. Nobody would even know the difference, really, but me. But the cow is the original one. It's very, I can wear it, and I have worn it. But when I do travel with Comic Con, I'm thinking about wearing the costume. I just won't wear the cowl. I'm going to have that in a glass, some type of case, because it's a treasure, and I'll probably have it in the case so people can see it, but I won't wear it because it is tight.
Mhm.
When you gain weight, you gain weight all over. So it's a little tight on my face, but I can still wear it.
Can you show us what it looks? I mean, not wear it, but can you bring it closer to the camera? Yeah.
Yes. Can you see
Yeah.
her?
Yeah.
Can you can you see the
Yeah.
suit?
Uh-huh.
And these are the gloves. And this is the helmet.
Uh-huh.
Can you see that?
Yes.
I
Yes.
know I know I'm on my phone, but and then I have the boots there. So, and I
Cool.
had to order new boots too because the boots were too small for me.
So what do you want to accomplish now in your revitalization of Batgirl, the book? But what is there a message? I mean, what is it you want to accomplish?
Well, what I want to accomplish, I feel, is to know that you can when okay. there's different dimensions here. Um, when you feel there's a whisper or something in your heart, or there's synchronicities, you just feel like there's something that you need to do, and and you think possibly it can be done, and then you sort of feel, yes, I want to do this. Know that you can. Know that you can do it, because I had a little thought and then it grew, and I thought, well, let's just see what happens, and it did. I mean, give yourself that opportunity. You can do it. If you want to write a book about part of your life that you feel like someone can learn from, do it. Just see what happens. You're going to have to persevere and discipline yourself, but you can be done, because everybody has a story that they can tell, and everybody has a past, and it might help someone else. Um, Also, what I would like to do is to meet people. And I feel that the book is just a platform, and the book is just a beginning of something. And I feel like it's going to take me into a whole nother place that I would like for it to take. And I think that was just the beginning. It's not really about the book, so to speak. It's about te- teaching people, or having them learn what who I was, because there's hardly any pictures. I'm sure there's pictures out there that people have that I haven't seen, because remember, there were no cameras really out there, but here and there. So I think that it will. I wanted to introduce myself, to know that I did travel with them, because a lot of people probably didn't know or remember it, because it had been so long. And I want to introduce that, and then I'd like to take it to the next step. I'd like to go to Comic Con and meet people, and be back in the superhero world again. I think that would be a lot of fun, because it was fun. And I do have it in my heart and my soul. And I believe sometimes you're born with it. Some people really don't get into that. And then some people do. And I think you're either born with it and you don't, and you're not. And I didn't know that I was until I became that. And I would like to go out there and meet people, and also take it maybe to schools, and talk to schools, talk to children about what it's like to be, how you can be a hero in someone's life. You don't have to wear a cape and cowl, but you could be a hero in someone's life, to let them know that you can be strong as a person. You could be strong for other people. You could be kind. And also, there's a few people in my life, and I'm sure in everybody's life, we have the really bad situation with opioids, in our country, with drugs and stuff like that. And I would like to take it into the schools and maybe talk to people about that. And I have a couple of people that I may want to take with me, that they've lost their children through it. And also other situations that I know of. Maybe I can take them with me to talk to. Also to go to, just to let God lead me through this, because I felt like He had me do this, because I put it down three different times. So I feel like there's something else that's going to come of this that I haven't really seen yet, um, or hasn't opened yet. And I feel that this is like that platform for me to be able to get the word out there, to get um, the superhero, have that platform, the people that do attend those Comic Cons, just to allow me to be the vehicle to help him, to talk about, um, you know, how people can trust and want to be a part of that. I mean, this this situation has been a few different dimensions for me. So,
Yeah. I
because you
think,
don't know why something happens until you allow it to happen, and then you think during it, "Wow, I can't even believe this has happened." Just like, when I put the Facebook, when I honored Adams when he passed, and I put that on Facebook, and it took me a lot to do that. My palms were sweating even when I put that on there, because I had not told so many people, and then a lot of people reached out to me, and then I realized, maybe I should get into this. And this was even after I went out to California to see the Ward family, and I started thinking about it. And then people started reaching out to me. I had people reach out to me, and one person, he reached out to me because he saw a picture on a table, and I put that in the book of me of Burt and I. We did a personal appearance, and you can see Burt with a young with a little boy, but then you can see my picture on the table, and he asked if that was me, and I said yes. And he was a great collaborator, and he sent me pictures.
So, Karen, how long were you actually with
And then
Bert?
I had
How long?
my illustrator, and he read. Go ahead.
How long were you actually at Bert with Bert in a relationship?
Um, I lived with Bert for about 4 years, 5 years, but then
Mm,
I traveled back and forth about a year and a
mm.
half. So about altogether, before we completely stopped, was about 6 years, 7 years, somewhere around there.
Well, I think you hit it on the nail on the head when you said that, you don't know everything yet, but your heart is open to traveling this next path. And you do have something that is a platform. You do have something that gets people to stop and listen, gets people to stop and watch. And that's very, very important that, we use things in the right way. I mean, we can certainly use things to get people's attention in a negative way, and we certainly can use things, in not a good way. But it's good to be able to use something, that will open up a door, to let you
Right,
be able to accomplish something that you might not have accomplished before. You
Marilyn.
know, it's interesting, this whole thing about superheroes and women and young girls and the power that, you know, we have power in what we say to people. And, you've had that experience. So um, what a wonderful story.
Marilyn,
Yes.
right.
there's a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Thanks
Okay.
on that. Let's see. Whoops, let me see. Hold on a second. Sorry. So this comes from Love Bats. I may have missed some of the chat, but what did
Put
her
them put
family?
pick up the mic. Can hear
I'm
you.
sorry. I may have missed some of the chat, but what did her family and children think of the book and the role? I've read the book, but so interested in that aspect. And that's a good question because I was going to ask that too. So thank you. So what does your family and your friends think? And your husband and your children?
Well, well, I'm not married now, but what my children, it's very interesting. They're excited about it. They're excited for me because they do know that I did not do this. I mean, I put that away to be with my children. I could have maybe done this the whole time they were younger. I could have maybe had gone into it then. I didn't feel like it was the right time. I never honestly thought that I would, but even if I had thought it, I would not have done that for their sake because I wanted to raise them in a normal life, the normal with a mother that's not traveling all over the country as I'm hoping to do now, but all over the country, meeting fans and talking to fans. It wasn't the time at the time. I mean, it's so parallel because now they are grown, but now that they are grown and I'm alone, by myself, they feel that it's the right time. And I waited to raise them. I wanted to be a mom. I didn't want to be taking them all over the country or leaving them, or I wanted to be with them, and they're very excited about it. And they didn't know about this for a long time. My daughter was 12 and my son was 9 when they found out about it. So, and then even after that, we didn't talk about it at
Okay.
all, really, until I went out to California and I came back and I decided, when I told them I was going to write it, my daughter was thrilled. She said, Mom, even matter of fact, she was the first one to say when she was 12, I should write the book. And I said, no, it's not time. I want to be a mom maybe one day. And then when I came back from California, I guess about the third time out there, she came over to the house. She was looking at things with me, and she said, "You know, it's time to write the book." I said, "You think so?" I said, and she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I had that thought also." And I said, "Yeah, let me. I'm gonna pray about this, and I'm gonna just start writing and see what happens." I don't even read books that much. I mean, and to write a book, it was interesting. And you know, Marilyn, you've written books, and it's not easy. I mean,
Yeah.
like this that's going on in my life now, I'm living no different than I did the last 2.5 years. I stayed home all the time after working and writing and editing, writing. And, even my friends think I'm so glad my friends didn't leave me because I always would say, I can't come out or I can't do this because, I wanted to write the book. And I knew it was going to take a while. And it did. And I put it down 3 different times because it's for certain reasons, but then I'd feel this, I feel God saying, or my inner self saying, pick up the pen, let's keep writing. And I'd write all night long because I am nocturnal. I guess bats are, but I am.
Well, it'll be
I'm
interesting,
nocturnal, and I can
Karen.
write, and then the next day I would look to see what I wrote, and I'm like, oh my goodness, look what I wrote.
Well, Karen, it'll be interesting to see where and what happens. And hold on one second. I just talking about my books just for a second. I want to. I'm not. Can you show my books? You have them. I'm not. You there? Oh, there we are. Okay. So I have 4 currently done, 3 on Amazon in just one afternoon listening to the hearts of men, then twins and millennials. And through this virus, you're going to see the other one come up there too. I'll be able to finish that as well, which is people impacted by opioid addiction, and then maybe even Black fathers will be joining. We'll have so much time to be writing and taking care of things. So they're all on Amazon. They're both all of them are available in paperback and ebook. Um, and stories are it. I mean, just like you're hearing Karen's story today, it's it. I mean, we hearing people's story is where you understand what people, you understand where they're coming from. Who are they? The lives they've lived, the lives they're going to live, who they are, what they think, feel, and all of that good stuff. And it's really important. And we learn about humanity, and
Yes.
we become closer and we connect. So we're almost out of time, Karen. I just had one more little teeny tiny question. If you could just answer it really quick.
Sure.
The other Bat girls and you, do you get together?
Oh no. Well, Yvonne passed away in
Right.
2015, unfortunately. And there are really no other. I mean, I know there Alicia Silverstone. She just did the movie. No, I've not met her. And then there's someone, Heather Wake. She is up in New York. Well, I'm not sure where she is actually, but she did Gotham. She was in that little TV series. But I'm not sure what she's where they are. No, I've not gotten together with them because this is new. I just published this in November. But can I go back real quick too? I do want to say a couple of things real quick. As you're right, the power of women, like the empowerment of women right now, it is a good time. I think everything happens in the perfect time, and this was the perfect time just to let, like you say, women, little girls know that what they feel in their heart and who they want to be, and if they have dreams, believe in them, and just put those dreams into play, and make it happen. And that's one reason why I want to do it also. That just to show people that you can. I mean, it can be done, and you have a story you probably need to tell if
Well,
you
if
if
you
you
have
wish
the
it
book,
to be.
do you have the book with you handy right now? Can you hold it
um
up?
yeah, I've got one
Book.
too.
Yeah, your book.
Yeah, right here.
Okay, hold it up. There you go. And they can find your book where? All right,
Amazon.com.
hold it
And
down.
my
Just put it down a little bit. Okay, there you go. No, no, we just can't see the cover. Just let it. Okay, there you go. Amazon.com.
and
Cool.
and I want to make a plug for my illustrator.
Go ahead.
Can you see it?
Yep, it looks great. I just
Okay.
want to say one more thing, which,
Can you see the cover?
yep, and I want to say one more thing. Part of all of this is the fact that Karen, she did this at the age of 20,
Yes.
which is
And
a,
Blurb. It's on
huh?
it's on Blurb.com and Amazon.com.
Right. Perfect. And doing this at 20, okay, that's great. Doing this at 20 is extraordinary. She was young, and whether her family let her go or not or whatever, she it was, it's amazing. And that in itself is pretty cool, and how she was taken care of. And sometimes we have judgments about certain things that are not always that way. So where there's a will, there's a way. And you got to follow your dream. You never know where it's going to turn out or how it's going to turn out or when it's going to turn out, but you do your very best. And I think, and I know you did that. And I look forward to seeing and hearing what you do next. And who knows, maybe we'll see you in a big screen, in a big screen movie of, you know, not Robin, not Batman and
Yeah.
Robin, but maybe just Batgirl.
They are coming out with one now. It's being written.
Okay, good.
I'm too old for that, but it would be fun to be a cameo. And they're looking for the Batgirl now. But she's young, so they're looking for a Batgirl now. So it'd be fun to do some kind of cameo if DC
Yeah.
wish that.
Well, you know what? Even Batgirl grew up. So maybe it's the next Batgirl. It's the Batgirl in all of us. In
Right.
our age, not all Batgirls have to be 20 or 22. Maybe, you can be a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old Batgirl and still be a superhero, right? So who knows? But anyway, Karen, it's been a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be Batgirl now.
Good. Good. Well, you are. You're Batgirl. So
That's right. I'm going to be Batgirl.
it's wonderful. So thank you
And
very,
you
very
too, Marilyn. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. We're glad you made it and the technology held out for us all because it is a funky time. So anyway, thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate it very much. Amnon, thanks so much for doing everything you do to keep these things going because sometimes they're hairy. Anyway, love you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.